Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you're accidentally readying up with the same team that you just carried in solo queue, winning a tourney match while your weapon refuses to fire, ratioing Kraken Mare on Twitter today. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. I thought this was going to be a simple episode of the Popcast. You know, low ink preview. These usually do well in the ratings. Nope. This is going to be something else happened today that requires a little bit of conversation and stupid thoughts, which is what the Popcast is built on. So we got a lot to cover here today. We're going to dive into it. First off, Low Ink registration has closed. If you are looking to sign up for Low Ink and you haven't done it yet, so tough cookies, as my dad would say. I just closed registration right before I went live right here, and I think two teams literally slid in the last minute. I think these bottom two teams just barely got in. Maybe that third one as well. So congratulations to you. You literally took the maximum amount of time you needed to sign up for this tournament. And by golly, you found a way to do it. Applications are closed as well. We got a lot of sub application put in. I don't think any of them got denied this month. I think we're over 20 subs. So if you're going to drop tomorrow, remember, there are subs that need a place. It's easier just to play through the tournament than it is to get a sub, than it is to just drop. So find a way to keep your tournament going. 85 teams as of right now. That's this is about the same average size as we always did for Low Ink. That's surprising. I was expecting a little bit less, if I'm being totally honest. So Low Ink's just as good as ever, and I'm glad it's that number. I'm glad it's not higher than that. I want to get a high Low Ink. I want us to get back to like the 100 plus Low Inks, 100 plus team Low Inks, but not this first month. We got some things to get through. Verification is not done. I was literally verifying teams during this little pre-show thing, so there's still a lot of verification. Well, not a lot actually. But there's still some verification needs to get done. So don't assume that you are eligible to play. We could be DMing you as late as tomorrow morning for information or to let you know that you could be dropped from the tournament. It's just how things go. So don't just assume you're going to be eligible to play yet, but you never know. I haven't looked at Nito. I have yet to look at your thing. I know you're going to post it right at the start of this. I'll look at that afterwards. And I would encourage other people to do so as well. Feel free to drop it in chat if it's already out. Because the people here would be interested in the same kind of content, I would assume, as I'm interested in it myself. Today, we are going to be previewing Low Ink. A lot of the teams that are going to be playing it, we're going to be talking about to some extent. And what you can expect from all the jank that is going to be taking place this weekend. Also, my top 10. I'm getting pretty good at my top 10 all of a sudden. I got, in the past 3 Low Inks, I've gotten 2 of them right. And the other team finished in second place. So my number 1 team has done nothing worse than make silver. That's pretty good. Maybe these Low Inks are beginning to become more predictable, so maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know, but we're going to make it 3 for 4 this weekend. So you don't even have to watch. I know a lot of people watch Low Inks. We're peaking at about 400 in grand finals, and with how Twitch has been handling Splatoon 3, we expect that number to be broken yet again. That record to be broken yet again this weekend. But since you guys are here, you don't have to watch the stream at all. I'm going to tell you who's going to win, so you don't have to worry about it. But first, the tweet of the day. goes out to none other than Kraken Mayor, who actually, I think it was last night. I remember seeing this tweet before I went to bed, and I was just like, I don't agree with that, but whatever. And then woke up to 300 quote retweets or so is what it's at now. And it's like, uh-oh. What happened here? So you haven't seen the tweet yet. Don't go looking for it. It's not like a bad tweet. There's nothing crazy bad with it. It's just the take that a lot of people disagree with. The take basically being with how Splatoon 3 is right now in the world that we're in right now with Splatoon 3, the jank coming from the, well, if you guys have played the game, you know what we're talking about with the jank. At some points, it's kind of hard to play, and it's not unplayable, but it's definitely difficult to play. So Kraken raised the question of, at some point, we, the community, should have this conversation about going back to Splatoon 2 while we wait for Splatoon 3 to get its net code kind of figured out. So, as always, as I like to say here on the Popcast, the things I say here do not directly correlate to the hive mind of IPL. My thoughts are my own. Same thing goes for our Twitter accounts, right? It's easy to say, oh, everything I tweet does not reflect on what JPEG is thinking, or Grace is thinking, or Sky, or Hoenn Hero, or Kraken. Our thoughts are our own, right? It's easy for us to say that, and that is true. However, it cannot be lost on us, especially with the fact that I got a big old IPL sticker right here, right smack in front of your stupid faces. If Dapple Production were to send me a sticker, I'd put it up here. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, I'd shell out for Dapple Productions if, in some instances. But you got to understand, just because we tweet things and say things and claim to not be related to IPL, you still have to recognize that we are the face of IPL, and the things we do and the things we say reflect on IPL, whether we want it to or not. I can't control how other people perceive information that I spew out. I try to. I try to clarify things. That's the whole point. Well, not the whole point, but it's one of the good things about doing the podcast is that I can clarify a lot of things. The message I send to you guys can be misinterpreted, yes, but if it is, I can clarify things for you. By the way, if you need anything clarified, leave a highlighted message in chat and I'll actually acknowledge it. But when you are the face of an organization, which a lot of us with IPL are, the things we say do reflect on each other in IPL. There's no way around that. That's just going to happen. So now that that's out of the way, let me start by saying this. In my personal opinion, we, the community, is not going back to Splatoon 2 ever again. It's not going to happen. The next time there is a Splatoon 2 tournament, it's going to be because Beta is going to run a gimmick tournament. Let's go back and play Splatoon 2 one more time. And that's going to happen like 4 or 5 years from now. That's the next time there's going to be a Splatoon 2 tournament that's going to have actual human beings sign up for it. We're not going back. There's no way. There's no way possible that we are going back. If Splatoon 3 were to suddenly spontaneously combust, that's just the end of the scene. We're not going back. Well, let's just go back and do Splatoon 2. No, even at that point, we're not going back. The bridge has not been crossed. The bridge has been far beyond escaped and burned and hacked to pieces. We can't go back. There is no going back, and nobody wants to. Nobody wants to watch Splatoon 2. Nobody wants to play in it. I hope nobody wants to TO it. Well, I mean, maybe TOing it's not that bad. But still, it's not going to happen, guys. There's no point in having a conversation or even entertaining the thought about going back to Splatoon 2. It would be absolutely absurd. So let's entertain the thought and go back through it anyways. The main argument for going back to Splatoon 2, not right this second, but eventually, is the fact that the game, Splatoon 3, doesn't work. Fair argument. I've played the game, and I know you guys have as well. There's a lot of moments where you just go, what? What just happened right there? What did I DC? Did they DC? Are they trying to kill me? They should have killed me, but their weapon's not working anymore. You play Salmon Run, what the little sock puppet creatures, the mud mouths just floating all over the place, all willy-nilly, with no rhyme or reason. Heck, you can win a game and lose points for it. You can win a game and then get to the selection screen or whatever, the results screen, and then DC there and then lose points, even though after you clearly won the game and the game ended. You can pop a tent right in front of you, and the tent will spawn to the right of you and fire straight for it. It makes no sense. Like, this game is clearly not finished. I pointed this out on Monday's episode of the Popcast, and it still kind of rings through today. It's obvious the game came out not finished, which is what we're used to seeing from every single video game that comes out from everybody, not just Nintendo, but every new game that comes out is not ready on the day it comes out, especially if it's got online features, which is fine to some extent because they'll get fixed down the road. There's two main arguments I want to make as to why we can't, or why we shouldn't even consider going back to Splatoon 2 at all, as far as competitive is concerned. Number one, a patch has already come out. I don't know what else to say. A lot of the issues got fixed. Are there still issues in the game? Of course. But did a good chunk of the issues get fixed last night? Yes, they did. Patch came out, blob is fixed, your weapons shoot. Some other minor changes, obviously some connection issues got updated as well. A patch has already come out within the first week of the game coming out and fixed a good chunk of things. And it's very likely to assume that more patches are right down the road. We're going to be fine there. Number two. It's hard to say that Splatoon 3 doesn't work in the competitive scene tournament-wise when on Wednesday we had SOS in North America and Paddling Pool in Europe, both tournaments run with, moderate to little jank happening in it. Yes, I did see a clip of Soren of A2P winning a game where their weapon didn't work. All they did was just run around, pick up clams, and throw it in the basket, which is hilarious. They still won without it. But yes, that is something that did happen to some people. But SOS went all the way through. Problems arose. They dealt with it. Paddling Pool, I kept an eye on the help desk and didn't seem like anything crazy happened there. Jank happened. They got through it. We've already had 2 tournaments successfully run online in Splatoon 3 before the patch. That was before the patch. Now we got a patch that's come out that fixed a lot of this stuff. So it's hard to say that we can't run this game in competitive when we've already run tournaments before the patch, and now things are going to be even better after that. So yes, we are not. There's no real reason to go back there. Now, SOS and Paddling Pool they're not region-locked tournaments, but they're region-focused. SOS, it's implied that you're going to be playing on an NA/SA time zone. If you're going to play in Paddling Pool, you're playing with mostly EU players. That's how that works. It doesn't mean you can't cross regions and play in that, but you kind of know what you're expecting from those things. However, Low Ink is going to be the first big test that we have in this scene. The first big test that we have in this entire scene outside of Japan. Maybe if you want to include Japan, because I don't know how often they do tournaments outside of their country as well. But Low Ink is going to be the first tournament where North America is going to play Europe. And that's big, because that's where we're going to find out if this game truly can function or not. We have issues always in international tournaments where Europe and North America and South America are all scrapping with each other, and then you throw in Australia and it gets even worse. So yes, this is going to be the first time we get to get a good true look at see how Splatoon 3 carries across the pond. Is it going to be so jank that it's unplayable for everybody? Is it going to be just what we're used to as Splatoon 2 with some, oh, you died behind the wall, the charger shot you when you weren't there, latency kind of thing that is frustrating, admittedly is frustrating, but we get through it as players. That's what Low Ink is going to show us there. And we're going to get the answers to that tomorrow, the first international tournament. Bugs might happen. If they do, we're going to be prepared for it, though, is the thing. We've already written some new rules that basically say if a bug occurs in your game, like a game-breaking bug occurs in your game, stop playing, you get a replay, and we just treat it like that and go from there. I'm worried a great chunk of you are going to misinterpret that to say, oh, well, I saw some lag. I'm going to stop playing. If you experience lag / latency in your game, you're not going to get a replay. You never have gotten one of those. You never will. We can't do that. Regardless of what version of the game you play, Splatoon 1, 2, or 3, when Europe and North America play against each other, funky things happen. And I can't sit here as an NA player and say, you need to kick this EU player out of the game because they lag. No, it's cross-region. Oh, this team from South America, they're lagging. You need to kick them out of the tournament. No, they're lagging because they're so far away from you. There's nothing we can do about that. I can't force people to move. I can't make the planet smaller. I can't build a giant land cable that runs through the core of the Earth. It's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but you guys know what you're signing up for. So if you come to help desk with a lag complaint, we're not going to be happy about it. If you come to help desk with your weapon not working, or somebody's flying across the map, or a mud mouth just randomly shows up and gobbles your power clam, then yeah, that's something we're going to be like, yeah, you get a replay for it. However, here's the other issue with this. We know this tournament's going to last a little bit longer than it traditionally does in Low Ink. However, we can't spend all night playing this tournament. We can't have rounds last for hours upon hours while we fix and replay and switch hosts and kick players and add players and all this stuff. We can't do that. I have a life, believe it or not, and you guys do as well. So whatever time limit we put, if round 1 is 40 minutes and every round after that is 35 until we get down to 30, when you go over it, we're going to treat it like every other Low Ink. If you go over the time limit, we figure out which team caused the delay, we give that team the L, and we move on. That's how we've always done it. That's how we're going to continue to do it. If you have jank happen in your game and it's game breaking, you get one replay. But if the same jank happens again, you just got to play it out. We can't just let you keep replaying it and fixing it and all that stuff, even if it is unplayable. And that is frustrating. I understand. That is going to be so frustrating. If that happened to me, I would be pissed. But I'm not a player in this tournament. I'm a TO. And we have time constraints. If the game doesn't work for you, it just doesn't work for you. And we got to move on anyways. We can't slow down the entire tournament just because it's not going to work for some people. That is something we're going to have to deal with tomorrow. We're expecting issues, and you should be expecting issues. Me personally, I've seen this game firsthand. I've seen this game in a way that a good chunk of you have never seen it. I've seen this game in a way that 99.99999% of the people that bought the game have never seen it before. I've seen it in land mode. Oh my gosh. I have seen hell. I have stared into the abyss, and it stared back at me and turned itself into airplane mode. So I understand, and I've vented a lot about this on the last episode of the Popcast, just how difficult and frustrating it was just to connect two switches together to play this game. So I know how frustrating it is. I would say this, though. I would much rather go through Friday of Riptide again than Saturday and Sunday of Riptide. Friday of Riptide was frustrating. It took like 15 to 20 minutes on average to get people into a lobby to play a match. People spent more time getting into the lobby than they did actually playing the match. Saturday and Sunday was smooth. People got into the lobbies quick. They played their games quick. As issues arose, we know how they dealt with it. We got through it. I would much rather do Friday than Saturday or Sunday. Why? Because Splatoon 3 is that much better than Splatoon 2. It's not even close. The game is more interesting. There's more hope behind it. It's fresher. The movement is better. And we don't even know how to master. Well, we probably know, but we haven't yet to truly master the movement of that game yet. Splatoon 3 is just straight up better. Even when it's at 50% of what it could be, it's still better than what Splatoon 2 was at its peak. It's not even close. Do you know what else was at Riptide? Smash Brothers, right? Smash Brothers was brought up a lot today. And to be fair, I have made the comparison as well. I have said about a year ago when Splatoon 3 was first announced that this game could be the ultimate to Splatoon 2's Melee, i.e. two versions of the game that still exist and run parallel next to each other. If you go to Riptide or any Smash Land event, Melee is just as popular, if not more popular, than Ultimate. Two games running at the same time in the same exact venue. In some places, you still see Smash 64, and in some secret places, you see Brawl being run. You didn't hear that from me. Is it fair to make that comparison, though? People get upset when we do counter picks. Go, oh, Smash does counter picks. You can't do what Smash does. This isn't a fighting game. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize we had to copy other shooters and only other shooters. My bad. But is it fair to make the comparison to say that Splatoon 2 is Melee and that Splatoon 3 is Ultimate? No. And I made that comparison before the game came out, but now that the game has come out, we can make this fair comparison of what this game actually is. The true game that is Melee is Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 has the extra movement options, adds to the game, doesn't take away from it, so there's no reason to go back to Melee or Splatoon 2. This is the game we wanted. This is the better version of the game. And you can sit here and argue, oh, Splatoon 2.5 or Splatoon 2 is actually 1.5, so this is really Splatoon 2. No, it's just a better version of the game we've been playing for the past 5 years. It straight up is. There's no reason to go back. This is the Melee game that we've always wanted, and here it is. Nobody goes back to Smash 64 except for some tournaments. It is pretty cool to see how they chop off the left half of the N64 controller to play that game. But we're not going back. So one more time, let this sink in. Regardless of what anybody says or any kind of conversations people try to have, we, the community, and I'm not talking about IPL, I'm speaking for every squid and octoling on this planet, in this known universe. I'll go as far as to say that if there is another civilization out there somewhere in the cosmos that has developed a Nintendo Switch and Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, I speak for those people as well, or not people, whatever organisms that live on those planets as well. We are never, ever going back to Splatoon 2 in the competitive scene until Beta makes a gimmick tournament 5 years from now. Clip it, take it to the bank, whatever you got to do. It's not going to happen. Part of the tweet, the Kraken admitted, was to have a conversation, to start a conversation. Part of a conversation is listening, though. You got to listen to the other side. I've listened to both sides, and I hope everybody paid attention and listened as well. It's hard not to listen to the response and take it to heart. And I truly hope nobody tweets out something where they say, we need to consider going back to Splatoon 2 ever again. And my thoughts are my own, not representative of IPL. Disclaimer, you can't sue me. That being said, we can now turn the table, talk about the tournament that is going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. A lot of eyeballs on it, for good reasons and bad. This is the one tournament where you do want to pay attention to help desk. Normally, I'm not a big fan of the IPL low ink help desk being turned into a meme. And despite my best efforts, it always does every single month. But that's not why I want you guys to pay attention to help desk. I want you guys to see the issues that arise and see how we deal with it. Because we're going to have to figure out ways to deal with some of these things. But I'm assuming it's going to be, well, I'm not assuming, but I'm hopeful that it's going to be a positive experience and we're going to get through it A-okay. I think the team that wins this tournament is going to do it from the vacuum. I feel like the vacuum is the special that makes or breaks some teams. And I'm not saying it's the best special in the game. I still think cooler is. I still think the advantage of having some juice in you is pretty good. But vacuum, a strong vacuum user seems to be the difference between winning and losing some of these sets in the higher levels that you kind of go right there. Do I think anything is broken, unbeatable? No. Somebody was claiming that Big Bubbler on Tower and Vacuum is unbeatable if you were to pop them at the same time. But then again, you could just zip cast into the tower and then you can fight somebody in the Bubbler and the Vacuum player can't do anything except just auto die to you. So nothing is truly unbeatable just yet. You just have to have the right counter ready to go, and that's where things are going to be smart. Counter picks are not a thing in this tournament, by the way. We decided to suspend the counter pick thing for a couple of reasons. This month only. Will be back next month. First off is we don't know the maps yet. Eventually, we as a community are going to have to whittle down the maps, get rid of some things, enjoy Mahi while it's here. It might not be around for a while. But we want to see all the maps in action. We want to see what they look like on stream, how teams handle them. And I don't know if we want people's feedback specifically because people give feedbacks on maps based off of how well they do and what their particular comp is. If you're an E-Leader player, you probably want more A towers. If your name of your team is Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, I think you might have some bias on what you think the map pool is. But we want to see all these maps in action first off. The second thing is with counter picks, and I was the one leading the counter picks for the Riptide Splatoon 3 tournament. The two teams up top there doing the counter picks in semifinals and grand finals, I guess it was 4 teams, were pretty bad at it. Not that they made bad picks, but they took a long time to just come up with, let's just go to Splat Zones and make them art. So it's if we just do counter picks, you guys are just going to pick Splatoon 2 maps because that's what you're comfortable with. And we'd rather get a good look at all the maps right through. And plus, it does save us a little bit of time if we do experience some jank. So don't get too comfortable with counter picks. They're coming back. They're absolutely coming back. We like the excitement they bring to sets. We like the strategy that we allow you guys to have with those counter picks. But we need to get 1 month through the thing first to make sure we get all the maps. So just stick with that. The teams that are going to be playing in this tournament, let's start off with the Snowpoke Imposters again. If you don't know who Snowpoke is, let me remind you guys. So Snowpoke was a streamer and also a TO for their tournament called Ink Theory. If you did not know what Ink Theory is, just think of a Saturday primetime open invite tournament, Swiss into Top Cut. It was a fantastic tournament and would get like 60 plus teams signed up for it. Destiny Troops played in it a couple of times, I want to say. if I were to look in my old book back there. But Snowpoke's team is here playing in Lowick. I have not seen Snowpoke do anything in a long time, so I'm glad that they're coming back. Interestingly enough, the team called Snowpoke Imposters, again, has Snowpoke playing on it. How does that work? How can you call yourself the imposter when it's you? Okay, maybe it's not the actual Snowpoke. That's what that implies, but there's some sus things going on there with these Snowpoke Imposters again. Inkvaders, fresh off their Game of Bracket win, the confirmed to me through DMs that was the first tournament thing that they have won in their long, lustrous history of the Inkvaders that is longer than all of you in chat. The Inkvaders have been around since the dawn of time, and now it's going to start getting old where we're saying, well, that team was around since Splatoon 2. Well, Inkvaders probably been around since Splatoon 1, to be honest with you. Winning their first Game of Bracket. Let's see what they do here. Can they get back to beta? Popsicles. I did not mention this team last month. They played through and made Game of Brackets, and I feel like this roster's a lot stronger than what they showed us last month. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on Popsicles and see what they can do there. Particularly the Toasty player, not to be confused with Toasty of Rolling Squids, and also Toasty, who a big help in the Riptide, and I believe it's going to be at Big House as well, helping out with stuff. But this is a different Toasty. They're pretty strong in their own right. Let's see what Popsicles do. I feel like they should be like a beta, alpha-ish level team. NSIP, which stands for Name Still in Progress. Yes, I remember that. We haven't seen these guys since April of this year, which April is starting to feel like a long time ago. That was 5 months ago. These Loinks just come and go, don't they? Name Still in Progress made Gamma Bracket back in April. Good to see them back after a 5-month hiatus. The Radical Dreamers are making their appearance yet again, and I don't have the hat that Nitwit made us. I put it back in the closet, but I showed it last month. But we're not talking about Nitwit this time around. Instead, let's talk about the Doctor. And no, not Dr. G, who does know who Nitwit is and has met Nitwit IRL, and is also on Lowink's staff. No, it's not that same doctor. That's the connection I made. I was like, oh, it's obviously Dr. G. It is not. It is the doctor who gave me and my wife some chocolates, who I have, I believe we still have that. I might crack into that tonight, actually. Hey, feeding your TOs is always a good thing. So we're going to make sure Radical Dreamers finds their way into Alpha Bracket, if not win the whole tournament. Yes, we can be bought. That can be a thing. Overtime and undertime. New teams, I guess. They're two different teams, overtime and undertime, but they clearly have the same kind of things going on with their names there. So is this the new Splat-A-Lot team? Or is next month, are we going to start seeing Dinner Time, Twisted Time? How many more teams can pop up from this? But as this time around, it's overtime and undertime. We'll figure out which one is better. And if they play each other on stream, you better bet your overtime butts that we're going to put that one on stream. Surf and Turf. They've been knocking on that door of Alpha Bracket consistency lately. Another month here is the opportunity to prove that. I proclaimed them to be the future. Last month I said there's this list of teams that are going to be the next wave, the next class of Alpha Bracket teams. Surf and Turf has an opportunity here to stake their claim as being an Alpha Bracket blue blood. They've made Alpha Bracket a couple of times this year. They could do it again now that the top has come off the tournament, as they say. Hell Squids. That's an aggressive name, ain't it? The tag, their team tag is 666. So they're really buying into that one there. This is a demonic team who played in the Nintendo tournament. There is always a lot of teams each month that sneak into Lowink that come from the Nintendo tournament. I don't know how they find out about us, but I'm so happy to have them here. Speaking of teams that come in from the Nintendo tournament, how about Persona 6? Is there actually a Persona 6? Is that like the next game that's coming out, or are we on 5? I haven't played the Persona games. Not too familiar with them, but I know people enjoy them. So Persona 6 is here in Low Ink playing Splatoon 3. How about that? Legal Inkling age. So I got a question with that. Inklings are now 21, right? For you in chat, can you confirm Inklings should be 21 right now? The Inkling I'm playing with does not look like they're close to 21, and that's kind of weird, but I think canonically they're supposed to be of legal Inkling age at this point. So clever name, which I believe actually makes sense. And I forgot to write down more information about legal Inkling age, but that is a team name, so be it. Inkception made beta bracket last month, now that they are no longer Hotel Popgun. So you get rid of the Popgun name in your tag, and you instantly do a little bit better. Inkception, been around for a hot minute as well. Instead, they weren't Hotel Popgun last month, but there was a team called OK Popgun last month, which has now just dropped the Popgun yet again, and it's gone back to being OK Woomer. Is there some sort of secret server going on here where like you guys just trade my name back and forth, my name, image, and likeness, and like you can be the Popgun team this month, and we're going back to being our original team this time around? I don't get that, but I'm not complaining, except I always do because the Popgun teams never do well. This month there was a team that used that picture I tweeted out how I was going through Sindao Q. No Chill, who has since changed their name to something, or since changed their team logo to something gross and disgusting. But so be it. You could have had this handsome face, but there you go. No Chill does have a player from Ink in the System, which is not playing this month. Orbism, a part of that pickup team that you'll be seeing tomorrow. Otakos, the first official Low Ink for Otakos since March of not this year, but of 2021. That's right. The incident month was the last time we saw Otakos as an actual team playing in this tournament, and they are back. Now, these players have been playing in this tournament since then. Cat Dog Hype or whatever I remember one as the team. Like, there's been players from Otakos break off and doing this pickup and playing that pickup or whatever, but it's been over a year and a half since we had the official Otakos team back in action. We'll see what they do. Skill issue was upset that I forgot to mention them last month, because they did pop off last month. They had a huge improvement last month, going from I think they were like barely Gamma, if anything, 2 months ago. And then last month, they made beta bracket and did really well, including beating up the ante. And I forgot to give them praise, even though I definitely should. So I'm mentioning you now, Skill Issue. And I promise you this: if you pop off again, I won't miss it. We'll get it right this time around. And no, you can't change your name in the middle of the tournament. It's about that time of the day where I mention the Boston Squid Party team, because they always get mentioned on the Popcast because I like them. So be it. What are you going to do about it? And it's worth mentioning them because the history books will show that the Boston Squid Party is the first team ever to sign up for Low Ink in Splatoon 3. The first ever team to do it goes to the Boston Squid Party. Will they be the first team ever to win Low Ink in Splatoon 3? No! But that doesn't matter. We like having Boston Squid Party around. Maybe one of those teams that's going to be sad when they eventually become too strong and disband, or not disband, but get kicked out of Low Ink. And then they'll disband, as you guys typically do. Mermaid Sashimi. I had to Google that word, not mermaid, but sashimi, which I am 30% sure I'm saying correctly. Google says it's just a type of sushi, so mermaid food, and we're turning mermaids into food now. That's okay, so be it. It's a unique team name. We'll take it. Could have just gone with the mermaids, but I don't know. Mermaid sashimi works out. No, it's not Ink or Swim, but it does have players from the former team Ink or Swim, including Meg. who I haven't seen playing low rank in a while, and is glad that Meg is back. Team Kafifi always deserves a mention because their team name is hilarious, and that's all I really have to say about them. Holy Fish Paste is a new team signing up for this. Okay, there's a lot of new teams playing in this one. Looking through the verification, there is a whole ton of teams that are clearly brand new to Splatoon in general, which is what we were expecting, and that's probably going to explode next month. But this team, from what we could tell, Holy Fish Paste, are Smash players or have played in competitive Smash events before, which is what we saw a lot at Riptide too. There were a lot of teams at Riptide, There was a handful of teams at Riptide that had never played competitive Splatoon before, but were signed up to play in the Smash event, and they just decided to band together and make a Splatoon team. They got smoked like nothing else, unfortunately, but that's this. You gotta have your first tournament at some point, and when you play Smash, you at least have the understanding of how tournaments work. So we'll keep an eye on Holy Fish Paste as they're making the transition from Smash to Splatoon 3. A lot of love between those two communities, obviously. I think that's mostly it. There's 85 teams currently signed up, unless somebody dropped in help desk between now and then. Nobody has dropped in help desk between now and then, so we're still sitting pretty at 85. Only one Splat-A-Lot team, I believe, is playing this month. Splat-A-Lot Dark Matter. No. There's Splat-A-Lot. How could I forget my favorite Splat-A-Lot team? The Imbeciles are here as well. There's also, as we've been going through verification, we've been finding a sprinkling of Splat-A-Lot players mixed up here and there and various pickups. Base Bars is back. I believe still representing Purdue. Is that correct? I believe Base Bars is still representing Purdue. That's where those players are originally from. Intimidation Factor, the question for these guys, I mentioned them as another one of those next class of teams that are going to be playing. I believe they made beta bracket last month. Can they get back up to alpha bracket this time around? We shall see. Clownfish is back, as they always are. I'm sure there's some sort of bot that we've created in the IPL that can look and see how many times some of these teams have played in it. I feel like Inkvaders has the most low inks under their belt. Clownfish is probably number 2 because they played in a lot of tournaments themselves. I never pronounced that team name. Lydian. It's a musical term, so I don't really have an excuse to not pronounce it correctly, but they're here as well. The Cherry Dolphins are here. Cherry Dolphins, Dolphins. Did we look into them? We did. Seems to be a new team. I hope that's an actual team because the Cherry Dolphins is a good name. We like that. Not persistence, but perseverance is here. The Pond Duck Crew is signed up as well. So the Pond Duck Crew, I always thought the Cascade Duck Crew was just the Untitled Duck Crew just grown up. But no, as we looked at Pond Duck Crew, there's some Untitled Duck Crew players that playing on that as well. So there's like 2 different duck crews. Why there's so many different duck crews going on, I don't know. And I think they got the same logo, so they're probably affiliated in some way. But there you go. The Pond Duck Crew is going to be playing in this one. Solaris is back. The last time we saw Solaris, they made beta bracket. That was in June, so they're back here as well. Not to be confused with Polaris. Solaris and Polaris. Polaris, I believe the last time we saw Polaris play was in an Ink Theory. Shoutouts to Snowpoke yet again. Ink Theory of January 2021. So a lot of old teams that haven't been around the scene for a long time rearing their ugly heads around in this tournament, which we appreciate. Rolling Squids dropped, but then re-signed up as the Rolling-ish. It's pretty much the same team. Maybe not, unless it's not close enough. This is close to being the same team that played at Riptide for Rolling Squids, as I see Sky is there as well. I thought I saw Sky on the Radical Dreamers, so that might be a little bit of a change. The very last team to sign up, and I'm I didn't look at it directly, but I'm convinced this team signed up at the last possible second that you can sign up for low ink. Is the Owomies. Owomies. And I don't know anything about those. We'll verify them later. Owomies. Okay. I was the chronic skill issue team. There's still 10 teams that are pending. How is Splatterlight Dark Matter pending, but also in the tournament? What the hell is going on there? Clownfish is this too. What does that make sense? The chronic skill issue team, I was hoping they would all the way sign up. Did they get 4 members? They didn't get 4 members. But that's the team that won the casual bracket of the Reddit tournament at the beginning of this year. And I was hoping they would sign up because I finally wanted to see them. They signed up for a low ink and didn't actually play through it. I don't think they actually joined the Discord server. If you come from Reddit, you might not know Discord's an actual thing. They know low ink is a thing. But that's the team I want to see play the most. But they're not here, so I shouldn't stop talking about them. Whew. So there you go. That's most of the teams playing in this low ink. And one of the teams I did not mention is going to be the team that wins it all. So there you go. Speaking of teams that are going to win it all, /SRS, it's time for the top 10. Before we get into the top 10, we got to go over the notable teams that are not here that are still eligible, at least as far as we think they're still eligible for low ink. Drifting Tide is not here. They played in SOS last time. They finished, tied for 5th last low ink as in their first low ink ever. I was excited to see them. I was hoping they'd play this month, but they are not here this time around. Ink in the System is not here. As I mentioned, one of their players is subbing for somebody else, but Ink in the System ain't here. There were a lot of Ink in the System members that were at Riptide that came up and talked to me for a little bit. That was nice. But they were not here. Elegant Crusaders, they ain't here. They signed up and then dropped. A couple of their players are on other rosters, and I think one of them is a sub that isn't on a roster just yet. And I think that's mostly it. Mean Girls, that team as a whole is not back this time around. Ink Sync isn't here because they disbanded but they played anyways. Not Your, but My Lag Paradise is not here. Neon Palm Tree as well. So a good chunk of alpha bracket teams, and that's the teams that I assume, quote, don't quote me on that, are still eligible for low ink, because there was a bunch of other teams that played in that last low ink that are just got kicked out straight up. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the top 10. The honorable mentions at first. Guess what? I don't have an honorable mention. There's a reason for that. It's not that I'm lazy and I just don't want to put teams up there. I just, as I was doing this top 10, I got a lot of strong teams in the top 10. But there are some teams in here that I feel like are not traditionally deserving of what you would traditionally think of a top 10 team. However, now that the top has come off and we've lost a lot of teams at the top of this tournament, there's some room for some teams to step up. So teams I would traditionally have in an honorable mention spot here get shifted up into the top 10. And I don't think it's fair to put some of the other teams and say, like, oh, I think this team's the honorable mention, when I know deep down I'm just doing it just to say whatever. No. We'll see. I'm going to be wrong, as I usually am, except for the past 3 months I've been right. But I feel like this one's going to come down to the 10 teams I got mentioned here. We'll see if I'm wrong. Number 10. Acropora has the most question marks heading into this low ink than anybody. Step 1, what is their solution going to be to losing Devil? Their blob / Hydra comp works best when you have a Slayer who is an absolute beast which Devil is a beast, no pun intended right there. However, with Devil out of the lineup, how do you replace that? Do you even replace it? Do you try to replicate it? Do you just reinvent yourself? It seems like they got a few new players on their roster to work with here to try to figure out how their new comp is going to work out. But that's the other thing. How does the blob that got fixed last night, how does that work when their roster with their new Hydra kit that's going to be busted out, combined with whatever other kits they're going to be using? Their comp changes a little bit, right? It gets nerfed or buffed in some certain spots. It's different. Now, not Mothman had a fantastic run at Riptide on land, mind you, and this team did compete at Shine as a whole on land, mind you. So they do have the synergy needed to be a traditional top 10 team, but I'm curious to see how they handled the game changes more so than any other team on this list. Because I feel like they face more adversity with the game changing than some other teams. Well, at least with the version of the game that we have right now. Number 9. Up to Ante didn't have that great of a tournament last month, which is fine. You can have a bad month and bounce back. Failing to make beta bracket and getting eliminated by skill issue in the middle of losers bracket. But I cannot leave Up to Ante out of the top 10, knowing full well the last time I did that, they absolutely popped off on Saturday and Sunday, going 5-1 in their Swiss group and finishing in second place and doing really well in Alpha Bracket the next day later. I'm also excited to see what they come up with since they, too, have to adapt. The fresh Squiffer is not in the game. The blob is kind of sus right now. They'll have to make some adjustments. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. So yes, let's leave Up the Ante in the top 10 just to be safe. And hopefully they don't use Quad Squiffer this month. Number 8. They're no longer Midnight Sun, which I argued wasn't a thing, and then it was proved to me wrong. They are an actual thing. Midnight Sun is a real thing. They're no longer Midnight Chaos, which is a team name I actually kind of like. That's kind of cool if you had to combine two words together, which I think most of you guys do when you make your team name, two random words. Midnight Chaos kind of works as a team name. I kind of like it. But they're not going by that anymore either. No, now it's Alliance of the Dam. Not like the damned like zombies. No, like a water blocking dam. Alliance of the Dam. What? Okay, fine, whatever. Don't DM me the explanation of this. I don't want to know what this one is. I'm just going to roll with it. Alliance of the Dam. Hey, still, I put this team, Midnight Chaos of the Alliance of the Dam, in my top 10 last month, and it didn't disappoint. They went 5-1 in Swiss, making Alpha Bracket. Even though they didn't do that well on Sunday, it doesn't matter. It's all about making Alpha survive Saturday, get to Sunday. Now that they got the experience of playing in Alpha Bracket, they can be ready to roll. I needed a team, and to be quite honest with you, I didn't recognize these guys until just like an hour before the Popcast went live, and I was like, oh, that's who that is. Good thing. Let me slip them into the top 10. Let's get them in at number 8. Number 7. I already forgot how to pronounce this team name. Adentes. And this also got a V word at the end of it, and I'm scared to say the second word because I feel like I'm going to mispronounce it and cancel myself in the process. So it's a team name that I struggle to pronounce, and I'm not going to mess with it too much longer. But they are a team that we'll all have to get to know because they are demanding our attention. So just as a reminder, here's who they beat last month. Beat Goodnight, the Popsicles, which is an underrated team, and very cool team name, an Alpha Bracket pickup. They beat them twice. I don't know much else about this team, what weapons they use, how differently they'll play in Splatoon 3 versus Splatoon 2, but it's the same team, consistent roster, all good things for a team that is in the position that they are in. So, Adentes, they're number 7. Number 6. I feel like I keep finding ways to keep Good Night in the top 10, even though they don't make alpha bracket. Like I used to keep finding ways to get Inked, INKD, into the top 10 when they were struggling to consistently make an alpha bracket. Good Night has spent the past 2 low inks in beta bracket. However, they barely fell in a dramatic grand finals to Aquatic Vanguard last month, falling in a game 10 of an epic set. In other words, they show up and show out on Sunday, which is important. Yes, they struggled on Saturday with making alpha bracket, but when they get to Sunday, they take care of business. And taking care of business in beta bracket traditionally leads to good things if you can make alpha bracket the next month. The teams you face in beta are mostly just other strong alpha teams that also had a bad Saturday in some cases, which is why we traditionally see the success from beta to alpha translate really well. I'm still in the Goodnight bandwagon, and I think this is the month that they will back that up. Number 5. Subaquatic Vanguard, who for some reason is not just Aquatic Vanguard, hence the sub part, is forcing their way into the top 10 list for the same reason I normally put teams on this list around this position. They won beta bracket last month. Or, well, most of this roster won beta bracket last month, I guess. In case you need a reminder, here are the notable beta bracket champs from the past 7 low inks. Daylight, Freelancing Takoyaki, Delicious Nuggets, the Yummy Stars, My Lag Paradise, and the Squid Killers. That is a monster list to be on. Most of those teams are banned from low ink or flat out won it. Not the month after, but recently after winning beta bracket. That's the power of winning a clutch beta grand finals. You're now considered to be not just a beta team anymore, but a really, really, really good alpha bracket team. It has a positive effect on your team as a whole, and this month, these players of Aquatic Vanguard will establish themselves finally as a consistent team going forward from here on out, even if they are sub-Aquatic Vanguard. Number 4. Sia has faced every test in their climb up the low-level competitive ladder and passed them all with flying colors. Little Squid League, Splat a Little, Gamma, Beta, they have flown up the ranks in ways we haven't seen a team do since Legato. Now, the next test they face is, are they going to be stuck in alpha bracket hell for the next couple of months, or are they going to establish themselves as a legit contender? Are they just making another alpha bracket as a traditional blue blood alpha bracket team that sticks around forever, or are they going to continue their growth into making a podium spot? Yes, I'm throwing that out there because the trajectory that they're on calls for them to hit the podium at some point. With most of last month's top 8 gone, that leaves room for this 9th place team to shoot up the rankings. And I stand by what I said last month, which was putting a lot of pressure on a team, writing a check that someone else has to cash, which isn't totally fair, but that's what the Popcast is about. This team will win low ink by the end of the year. These guys will win low ink before 2023, and they have an opportunity to prove that this weekend as my number 4 team here. Number 3. Y'all might have forgotten, but the last time Prism played in low ink, they won their Swiss group 6-0 and finished tied for 7th in alpha bracket. That is a big blow up for a team that has been a beta bracket regular for a long time. And after seeing Lappy in person at Riptide, I know why they popped off in that low ink. That player is cracked Lappy is really freaking good at the video game, especially in Splatoon 3, because Lappy played in the Riptide Splatoon 3 on Friday, and even though they lost on stream 2-3 against the number one team in their group, which me and JPEG commentated, Lappy was flexing on some people with that blaster. Secant, a consistent player that has a better Tetra kit, I would argue, than in Splatoon 2 now. 57747 made Alpha Bracket last month as well with the Pickup Fairy Tool team name. And Nito being a very serviceable veteran sub who has played on a bunch of different low-rank teams. And you got a good foundation of a Prism team right here that I got firmly in the number 3 spot. And if you're in the number 3 in this low-rank, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you're going to win it. So we'll keep an eye on Prism. Number 2. I love the money moves that Myopsidus has made with their roster lately. Benny from the Delicious Nuggets, the month when they got second place. They didn't win low ink. Don't come at me like that. Caleb, formerly of Boston Squid Party, which I don't think I saw on their roster, unless I am mistaken, but they did play last month. Combined with the core players that Myopsidus has been having traditionally in low ink over the past many years or so that they've been here. And for the first time in a long time, Myopsidus is consistent. They're finally consistent. Back-to-back fifth-place finishes is very impressive for the squad. It proves that their fifth-place finish in June was not a fluke. It is now the standard. Here is the best thing going for them right now, though. Of all the top 8 teams from last month, they are the only team that is signed up this time around. All the other ones just either didn't sign up or been banned. So they're the best team remaining from that standpoint. So they're on fire coming into this new game, and the path is set for them to make the podium. Will they actually do it? I don't know. Because now they got to handle pressure, expectations, curse of me putting them this high on the list. But Myopsidus, if there ever was a window for them to be open to escape low ink, it's this month. And that's not a guarantee the window is going to be open next month. And people often don't deal with that pressure very well. But here's Myopsidus' window. It's open. Will they slip through or not? If they do, they're going to have to get past this team I got at number 1. And the team I'm predicting to be the third of the 4 straight tournaments where I correctly predicted the winner. Last month, I talked about the teams of the future. The Alpha Bracket teams of tomorrow. One of the teams I mentioned was J. Croutons. Only to have chat tell me that they disbanded. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And like any good disbanded team, they've shown back up in low ink the next month. They might not be here much longer, though. Not because they're probably just playing as a team one more time, but because they might just straight up win it or get banned due to results from other things. After their surprise 5th place finish in their first Alpha Bracket appearance in June, they've added TNT from Elegant Crusaders. There, I mentioned you. Don't subtweet me this time. And Roomba. And the reason I'm giving them the edge over Myopsidus, they have the deeper roster. If you want to win this low ink, you can't be rolling in with 4 players. Because if one of your players experiences jank or connection issues and you need to scramble to get a sub, it's a lot easier when you have a sub on your roster already than having to scramble to find somebody who may not have been playing in low ink ever. So the fact that J. Croutons is rolling in 7 players deep will really help them out when internet connections and bug issues force players out of the tournament. This month, more than ever, will reward teams that have a deeper roster. And that is why I give the edge to J. Croutons. In other words, they are built to win this month. And there's no longer a pop gun curse, so it's actually going to happen. Agree? Disagree? You think that I screwed you over. I forgot to mention you. Well, Pop Gun didn't mention me. I'll show him. Yes, that is exactly what you can do. Ask TNT. If I missed you guys today, I always give you an apology when you pop off on Monday. So feel free to reach out to me on my socials below. Twitter, Mr._Popgun. Discord, Popgun. #5882. YouTube at 25. Popgun. Twitch at Popgun25. Anchor.fm/Popgun. TikTok at Mr._Popgun. Who are we rating? Let's rate Charda. You can never go wrong with that. Make sure you guys tune in for the Loink pre-show tomorrow in the IPL Discord server. Make sure all your names are correct. If they're not, I don't think you can change them at this point. You're screwed. See you guys on Monday.